Welcome to our Proverbs Reflection Guide Day. These come from Proverbs, a reflection guide for everyday living, written by Kristina Kaiser. You can find this actually on Amazon in paperback or via Kindle, and I'll have links for that in the description. But for now, why don't we just get started? I will give you a moment of centering, and then I'll read the passage, followed by a little bit of commentary, followed by the reflection itself. Let me give us a moment. Today we're reading Reflection 8, titled Trusting Wisdom. This comes from Proverbs chapter 8, verses 22 through 30. And it says this: "The Lord brought me wisdom as the first of the Lord's works, before the deeds of old. I was formed long ages ago, at the very beginning, when the world came to be. When there were no watery depths, I was given birth. When there were no springs overflowing with water. Then I was constantly at the Lord's side. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in the Lord's presence, rejoicing in the Lord's whole world, and delighting in mankind." I'm going to read it again because it's really good and I was personally confused. So Proverbs chapter 8, verses 22 through 24 and verses 30 through 31. "The Lord brought me wisdom as the first of the Lord's works, before the deeds of old. I was formed long ages ago, at the very beginning, when the world came to be. When there were no watery depths, I was given birth. When there were no springs overflowing with water. Then I was constantly at the Lord's side. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in the Lord's presence, rejoicing in the Lord's whole world, and delighting in mankind." Getting started on a journey is always easier than continuing. At the outset, possibilities are endless. Our energy is fresh. And perhaps that was even true for us 7 reflections ago. But here on the 8th reflection, maybe things have begun to blur a bit. Maybe all of this reflecting feels like more than you had originally bargained for. So why continue? Why put your trust in wisdom? Wisdom itself decides to answer this question. It tells us, because I was there from the beginning. I was there even before the watery depths were there. Wisdom takes us all the way back to the beginning and tells us, take this journey with me, because I can tell you firsthand about everything and anything. And I can do that because I've been there for all of it. So what does wisdom mean when wisdom says it was there? Wisdom tells us I was born. I was created as everything was created. I've watched it all, and it has been my pleasure to do so. Well, obviously, this is amazing testimony that wisdom gives us. Though it is also true, we can't prove it at all. Here we are seeking God's wisdom, and wisdom is telling us all we can... Sorry, I keep messing up today. And wisdom is telling us we can live a life that is prosperous and free from harm, because wisdom is age old. So let's put it in modern day context for a moment. Having friends that have been around the block, so to speak, that can be so helpful. When we meet someone who has been where we are now, that desire to pull up a chair and to hear from them is often so strong. We want to say, tell me everything you've learned. So why don't we take a moment to sit with God's wisdom today? Invite wisdom to speak to you. If there's something specific that you're hoping to hear about, name that thing that you want to hear about. Ask wisdom to point you in the right direction, to introduce you to the resources that you need, to encourage that which you need to bring forth. Because wisdom seems to be happy to be there for you. So take your time. Why don't we all take a moment now? We hear in Scripture that the one who began a good work will see it through to completion. And so if there are things that you are asking God about that you need wisdom to speak to you on, I want to encourage you to keep seeking that. If you want to sit in this space a little bit longer or come back to this, go right ahead, because there's something beautiful about the call that we're getting today. That wisdom is saying, I was there, I've seen everything, I was so delighted to be a part of it, and I'm delighted to be a part of your life too. So I just want to leave you with that encouragement today, and I'll see you later. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello! Welcome to our Proverbs Reflection Guide Day. This is Proverbs, a reflection guide for everyday living, written by Kristina Kaiser, which is myself. And if you're interested in having the actual booklet, I will make sure to have in the comments and description sections a link. You can find it on Amazon in both paperback and in Kindle. So why don't I give us about a half a minute or so to kind of get settled, wrap up anything that we've been doing up to this point, and prepare for whatever it is that God has for us. And then we'll get started.